Kirkowski.
Here.
Lorick.
Here.
Dukenyak.
Here.
Toman.
Here.
Gale.
Here, and as Alderman of the 5th District, I will retain my right to a vote this evening. With that said, let's do Pledge of Allegiance.
And Alderman Guzikowski.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Goozy. Goose. Didn't
Can't
introduce
forget
you.
Goose.
Steve, you want to lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. Obviously, the purpose of tonight's meeting is our annual budget meeting. With that said, item number 3 is the 2019 executive draft budget public hearing, and I'll turn it over to the clerk.
City of Oak Creek notice of public hearing, 2019 proposed executive draft budget, Monday, November 19th, 2018. Notice is hereby given that on Monday, November 19th, 2018, the Common Council of the City of Oak Creek will meet in the Civic Center Council Chambers at 8040 South 6th Street at 6 o'clock p.m. for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the 2019 proposed executive draft budget. The purpose of this public hearing is to solicit public comment on the city's 2019 annual property tax levy and budget. A summary of the 2019 proposed executive draft budget is published herewith, and public notice is hereby given that the budget detail is available for public inspection at the city clerk's office at the Oak Creek Civic Center, 8040 South 6th Street, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, during the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m., Monday through Friday. The proposed water and sewer utility proprietary fund budget is not included in this notice. The Water and Sewer Utility Commission is expected to review the proposed budget at their regular meeting on Tuesday, November 13th, 2018, dated this 24th day of October 2018.
Thank you, Catherine. And just a heads up, Mayor Dan is traveling, so unfortunately he can't be here. There's nothing else behind his absence tonight. One reminder, too, if you do want to make a comment at tonight's meeting, there are slips in the rack to fill out. You can bring those forward. We'll have commentary as available. That said, I'll turn it over to Bridget to kick off the budget hearing.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. Monday night hunting. Same story every year. I apologize. We are here working within the guidelines of the state statutes to approve the 2019 budget. I appreciate your time throughout this process, and at the prior Common Council workshop, we have a brief overview of the budget, and we'll see what kind of questions you have at the end. So it's easiest to start with the general fund, looking at our revenue summary here. The 2019 budgeted revenues increased by 6% over our 2018 budgeted revenues. That's about $1.4 million, and this is due mainly to an increase in our allocation of the tax levy, the revenue offset, as well as the additional personal property aid payment that we are receiving from the state. Shifting then to your general fund expenditures, same story. We have a 6% increase. This is a balanced budget for you. Again, for the 2019 calendar year, so 6% increase in our expenditures. We are looking to maintain our 2018 service levels, as well as add various new personnel in a few departments, which we will talk more about later on in the presentation. But this budget continues to be fiscally responsible and prudent with our taxpayer dollars. So what's included in this budget tonight? Besides maintaining those service levels and having a balanced general fund, we are also funding $2.8 million in our capital expenditures. We're funding a new police officer, partial school resource officer, patron services librarian, and a crime analyst. We have also allocated additional dollars towards seasonal wages for the upkeep here at DTS and expanding on the property a little bit. We have some additional wage adjustments relating to dispatch, the mechanic pay, and some of the wages within the fire department. Across the board, all of our employees are receiving a wage adjustment pertinent to their bargaining group or the non-reps. Every fund that is supported by tax levy is equally balanced. So that's another positive to take away. Not only is the general fund balanced, but all of the other funds are balanced with the tax levy as well. We do have a 5% EMS fee increase that is in the budget and a $2 stormwater fee increase.
Just want to jump in there if I could, Bridget. I wanted to remind the council something I mentioned to you all at our budget workshop, and it's written in the letter of transmittal, and it really pertains to this slide because of the personnel advancements that we made this year. As I put in the letter of transmittal, in the state of Wisconsin, with levy limits what they are, with expenditure restraint program being what it is, communities are really in a feast or famine mode. And that feast or famine mode is really contingent on whether you have high growth in your community via the metric of that, which is that net new construction figure we talk about every year, or you have little to no net new construction. And those communities with little to no net new construction are virtually stuck with looking at ways to stop increases in pay and benefits and services. And really rolling those things back because they have to, due to those levy limits and other constraints that are imposed upon us by the state. So a little bit of messaging here and a little bit of a preview for next year. This year, we were really blessed in that we are one of those high growth communities. That will probably be the next few years for the city of Oak Creek. CPI is a little bit higher than usual, which, kind of good and bad. CPI being a good thing, in our normal daily lives, not the greatest thing, but expenditure restraint really didn't come into play here with this budget outlook because of that. And as we've learned, CPI is probably here to stay for a few years at least, unlike the last few years. And I just want to mention that although we were lagging behind significantly in terms of personnel advancements in various departments, particularly the public safety and more particularly the police department. We were able to catch up a little bit and do some things, but next year we really need to take a look. That's not typical of every year. Just because we can, we will. We really have to look at our capital improvement fund next year. As you know, there's various studies and analysis out there. Whether it be streetlight grid, whether it be the CIP funding analysis that we went through this past early summer, we really need to take a look at that. So next year, this may look a little bit different in terms of the strategic priority. Of course, that strategic priority is the council's direction as much as it is mine or the staff's. But that is kind of the outlook in my mind moving forward to address the buildings and equipment, roads, and other infrastructure in the city next year. So very happy that we could get some personnel advancements in these departments, but that's not something that we will just do every year just because we can. We have other needs as a city. So we'll get to some of those other items, strategic items later on in the presentation as well.
So what has changed since our council workshop back in October? Not much. When we met in October, we were estimating our expenditure restraint rate to be 4.41%, and I was so close. The paperwork came in at 4.40. So we had slight alterations, if you will, that we needed to implement on the revenue offset and the contingency line item that's within your budget in order to maintain that capacity of ERP. So if and when expenditure restraints start slowing back down, or CPI, starts slowing back down and creeping downward, we still have maintained that capacity when we were in our good years at this point. So we also increased very slightly some travel training in the health department and the HR division. There was a budgeting error in dispatch and in the fire department, particularly in the part-time wages that we corrected. And per request during that budget workshop, we added $5,000 of support from the tourism to the Celebrations Commission. So as we begin to look at taxes, our net new construction for this year came in at 3.32%. Just to give you some perspective, it was 1.93% last year. And last year we were really excited. So this continues to be some significant growth here with the additional $436,000 with the tax levy that we were able to increase. And you can see how that levy is split out here on your screen. Something that I want to note is solid waste and dispatch had minimal increases in their allocation of the levy, but we were able to reduce the EMS fund levy by $162,000 because of the increase in our collections of the EMS bills. So that is a positive for that fund and those levy dollars being able to be allocated elsewhere. Same information, different picture. As you look at the pie chart, you're able to see that the general fund receives 66% of the tax levy and 18% goes to the EMS or paramedic fund. Dispatch has 6%, as well as solid waste, and only 4% is going towards our debt service.
Jump in again there because I think that's a key point, and the council will recall the TIF presentation that we did in August, I believe, that showed how the debt of this community was supported, the vast majority of that being self-supported in the tax increment districts themselves. The other GO debt, I mean, this is a remarkable statistic when 4% of your levy and only 4% of your levy is going to debt service. I mean, that's really low. That's probably, typically 20 to 25% of a community's levy, to be honest with you. If we were to do a survey, I don't think that would be out of line as a guesstimate. So that's remarkable for the city of Oak Creek.
All right, Barb's in the room, and I promised her I would continue to make the statement that I always do at this time of year. This is an estimate. Tax rate numbers are not final. This is an estimate. So please take that for what it is. It is with the information that we have at this time. So as we look at the proposed 2019 city tax levy and where we believe our assessment is right now, we are estimating that the city portion of the tax rate would be $6.30. That's down 11 cents from last year. So on your median home, that would be $1,234.80 annually for the city's portion of the taxes. That's down a whopping $21 annually from last year. So if you were wondering what that 11 cents equates to, that's where we're looking at on a monthly basis. Again, this is an estimate. It could change still. So as we've done in the past, we've taken that $1,234 and divided it by 12 to show you what it looks like for your monthly tax bill in your home, what you're paying for city services. And it's fair to say that the residents are most likely paying more than $102 a month for their cable bill or their cell phone bill. So when you really put that into perspective, you are getting our police, fire, DPW, and all of the administrative services for $102 a month, which I think is very cost effective for the high quality service that residents receive.
Oh, enter me. One thing I'm really proud of in terms of the staff as well as the council is that our strategic action plan is just that, an action plan. And I think we've proven to you, council, and council, you're just as much a part of that team, implementation team as any other group. That's an actionable plan. And we said that at the beginning. We work our strategic plan every day. And we live by it. So one of the things that we want to continue to do is point out to you areas of the strategic plan that we're working on, and in this case, areas that we're funding for next year. This by no means is the grand total sum of all of the strategic action plan items we are working on. Certainly there are some of initiatives that are in the works now that are being carried over, some that we haven't even started yet. But I wanted to point out some of the accomplishments per the strategic plan, some of the accomplishments that were included in this budget document. So our first critical success factor of safe, welcoming, and engaged community, we referenced before the new positions, particularly in the public safety realm with a new police officer, a school resource officer, and a brand new part-time crime analyst position. That's obviously general levy funded. The other another item, Safe Routes to Schools funding. We're actually using part of our strategic action plan fund that we have set aside to execute a couple projects that are recommended in the Safe Routes to School document. And we have created and we will implement a new residence guide to city services. You received an advanced preview of that. In one way, shape, or form, we will be getting that out to the residents, and that will have a cost component to it, regardless of how we do that. And just to remind you quickly, that document really can't be distributed until the city website is complete, which is first of the year-ish, maybe end of January, to work out some bugs, as those two are tied together, of course, pointing to and from in terms of information for our residents. Secondly, second critical success factor here, quality infrastructure, amenities, and services. Per the CIP funding analysis that a strategic plan had put together and gave you a presentation on, we had a goal of funding a $75,000 goal, a funding goal, to establish a sinking fund, more or less, for large bridge rehabilitation or large bridge maintenance projects. That $75,000 annual goal was included in your CIP, and we can carry that forward so each year for so long as the council desires, but we did hit that mark on that funding goal. Third critical success factor, vibrant and diverse cultural opportunities. We have additional labor, seasonal labor for DTS grounds, maintenance, special events, and city hall custodial needs. I know a couple of you weren't there for the entire budget workshop, but when we got to this item, we're going to work out some ideas for utilizing one or two summer seasonal folks for kind of policing the grounds that are our capital here, that represent our capital, including Drexel Town Square proper, and as well as this building, setting up for special events, giving Kristen Craig and the destination marketing specialist function a little more, brawn to support her. If any of you have seen her kind of humping back and forth tables and chairs and tents, she needs a little bit of help. So that will be kind of a multifaceted approach to handling maintenance and weeds and special events, and maybe even inside helping out Dick a little bit here around this building. I think lastly, critical success factor, financial stability. Continuing an effort to reduce health insurance costs through proactive consumer education. The health insurance fund budget was not increased. The health insurance fund budget was not increased to accommodate the new additional staff that you have programmed into this budget that was mentioned earlier. So we do need to continue to work that per your direction of the budget is what the budget is, and we got to live under it. Secondly, buildings and grounds maintenance fund has been established. We were able to tick off a few items in the capital improvement plan. And the way we did that was create with some revenues some one-time revenues that we have via the sale of the lots on Shepherd Hill or Shepherd Avenue, or via the Ryan Business Park acreage, that per acre sale, per sale as an acre sells. We're able to fund and establish a buildings and grounds maintenance fund to help accommodate that. So a few items were knocked off the list that otherwise we would not have been able to accommodate. And lastly here, review the fleet lifespan and really look at vehicle fleet leasing options. There's a $90,000 budget in the capital improvement budget for looking into renting some DPW fleet vehicles. We have continued those discussions. We started those discussions over a year and a half ago. We've continued those with a consultant, and that consultant will be attending the CIP meeting, which I believe is scheduled for next Thursday, to discuss that with the CIP group along with the projected road projects. So with that, I just wanted to point out that's probably not all of them, but those are the ones that really came to mind when we were reviewing this budget. Again, not the only items we're going to be attacking and continuing to work on this year, but definitely critical to point out those that were funded objectives, if you will.
Ta-da.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Amy.
Any
Thank
questions?
you, Bridget. With that said, it was a public hearing. We will make 3 calls for commentary from the public on that. With that said, this is the first call for public commentary. Be the second call. Yep, Arden, come on, if you're willing to make a comment. Have at it. Arden, sorry. Name and address for the
Arden
record.
Degner,
Thank you.
8540 South Pennsylvania Avenue. If I can afford the taxes, my wife is on a donut hole, and it's very difficult for us to survive. But I appreciate so much the complete budget that we have, showing even the TIF properties and what the revenues are expected and expenditures. I have a couple of comments, and that is, to me, this stormwater fee comes directly on my tax bill, and it looks like with a $500,000 budget levy increase that we could switch some of that stormwater fee to the budget itself. And this is one of the items that we all recognize happens when you have all these TIFs with trucks and cars, hundreds of different vehicles. They're apparently not presently. But I expect that we're going to have my first question is this road maintenance, is this all a part of the stormwater fee? In the past, it was necessary to clean the roads because of the state requirements, and to me, I have a feeling that this is incorporated in the stormwater fee. Is this correct?
Mike, if you want to address Arden. Mike Simmons is here, our engineering department can give you a little info on that.
The roads that you speak of, Mr. Arden, these are the roads in the new developments that, yes, they do require street sweeping, and that is paid out of the stormwater revenue that's brought in. And, of course, the development itself pays into that stormwater fee. So, yes, there's more work to be done under stormwater. There is more revenue from the additional developed land that helps pay for that.
That is what I've anticipated with all this development in these TIF districts, is that we taxpayers are taxed additionally for that. And there's no reason for it. It should be spread out in these other areas. Essentially, all I can say is I appreciate so much all the work that's done by our city administration, because we are in a very difficult period of our country. With, as I mentioned to the privately to the proposer of this new Aurora Health Hospital, we are facing the fact that we have organized mobs descending upon every part of our government. We don't know who, with Facebook.
Arden, we're focusing on the budget hearing tonight, so if you've got more
Well,
comments pertinent to
the
that,
point
that'd be great.
is that this has to be considered these days in our budget and in the safety, and especially in this new city hall. It was considered, and it has to be considered in our schools. And this is an extra expense that in the past we never had to deal with. I don't know when a mob is going to show up at my place. So thank you.
Thank you for your comments. That was the second call for commentary, third and final call for commentary from the public. Great. All right, with that said, I'll close the public hearing and open this budget hearing up to comments, questions from the council. Anything from my cast of friends and characters? Alderman Kirkowski.
I just wanted to point out that although I was not at the Friday morning budget hearing, thanks to the Brewers, I did have an opportunity to meet with Andrew and Richard and go over the budget. Although I wasn't there.
We appreciate that. Suzie?
I thank them for that.
Good?
I'm good.
Michael? I'm fine. Good. And I just want to publicly express my appreciation to Andrew and your staff for the incredible work you guys have done again this year. Presentation gets better and better in terms of the figures available for the public for their dissemination, and we appreciate everything you've done. So, that said, with nothing else, I'll entertain a motion on item number 4, which is the consider the ordinance 2920 to adopt the 2019 budget and make appropriations.
Guzekowski will make a motion to consider ordinance number 2920 adopting the 2019 budget and making appropriations.
Oracle second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Dukenyak.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Great. Motion for adjournment?
Kirkowski will make a motion to adjourn.
Oracle second.
Roll call.
Alderman Dukenyak.
Aye.
Toman.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Great, thank you all.